Greetings, family. My name is Charles Thomas, coming at you again with another conversation and enlightenment to the family as to who we are and what we've been through and the journey that we have to prepare ourselves for to create a future for ourselves and so that the world will understand us better and what we have been subjected to as a people and have undergone. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to start off with the Fatiha, the way that it should be spoken based on what we've been through as a people under the influence of religion, various religions. Okay, so let's get started. I'm centering my hands because everything in the universe is symmetrical, male, female, the opposites. And we have to balance the opposites to get harmony with the universe and to comply and get response from the universe. So let's get started with the Fatiha from a former slave perspective. In the name of righteousness, most gracious and most merciful, all praises are due to righteousness, the Lord of all the worlds, most gracious and most merciful, Master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, and whose portion is not wrath, and who go not astray from righteousness. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time, and I hope you stay with me to the end of this presentation. It is going to be a little short increment of your time, and time is very important. One, you got to be important on how you spend your time and where you spend your time at, because time and righteousness, there has to be a balance, because both of them will give you equity in life, in this plane and the next plane. So let's get involved into who we are and where we came from and what we've been through as a people. Just like in scripture, it talks about a covenant that should not be broken. And as it explains in Deuteronomy 28, and I'm referring to the Bible. The Bible was a book that was put together by the Catholic Church at the Council of Nicaea. They all got together and they formulated what they was going to use to indoctrinate the slave with. They infused different canons and they added some and they taken some out based on the Bible that they got out of Ethiopia. That's where Christianity, the origin of Christianity started, was in the churches in Ethiopia, the Church of Lalibela. A quick synopsis of the church in Lalibela, it has a symbol of a cross. And the cross was symbolic for the path in life. There's a physical path and there's a spiritual path. And where they cross, that point is like a spark in your soul that you can't see, but it's an electrical currency that runs in your heart, in the depths of your chambers of your heart, your pulse of your spirituality. So we have to learn how to live in two worlds simultaneously, be in the world but not of the world, because you have to understand that your spiritual side is more important than your physical side, because your spiritual side will continue for eternity. Your physical side will remain in different planes. But you have to focus on your spiritual side. That's why Satan created religion, was to deceive you and to get you focused on the physical side, to take you away, to distract you from your spiritual side. And righteousness allowed Lucifer a certain amount of time to affect Adam, to keep him distracted from the spiritual plane, to keep him focused on the physical plane. That's the job that Lucifer is bound to. And after that time period, God is going to come back and redeem his spiritual people. It's important for you to understand that you're not a physical person, you are a spiritual person. So take life spiritually, not physically. Your spirituality is your key and your pathway to the straight way. Don't get focused on tradition and rituals and religion. It's not going to apply on your day of judgment. Your day of judgment, when you die, you have to know these things, because you're going to be judged on how you dealt from a spiritual perspective, not a religious perspective. And that's what the church did, and religion did, and Lucifer did. They distracted you by changing words in the literature that you think is a religious help, but it's not a religious help. For example, if you read Psalms, and you can see where they change the wording and the verbiage in Scripture to get you to believe in something and worship something on the outside of you, when God already told you in his covenant, the agreement that he had with Adam is a spiritual agreement, and righteousness should be your motivation. Righteousness is the key word that they took from the Bible and from the Quran. When you read the Bible and you see Lord, you don't say Lord, because Lord is what takes you on the outside and get you to focus on something hanging on the cross. That's the distraction. When you worship an image on the outside of you, everything that you need is within you. So if somebody gets you to try to focus, get your attention to something on the outside of you to worship, that person is distracting you. He's doing the work of Lucifer, the fallen angel, to deceive you. Because when your righteous entity comes back to claim you and redeem you, if you focus on something on the outside of you, then you're going to fall into a sinful concept of distraction. That's the same thing that happened in the garden. That's why Adam fell for the influence of something on the outside of you. But everything that you need was given to you in creation. And that's what the Bible is, a book for slaves. That's why they put the Bible together, to love those that despitefully use you, to pray for your master. You know, those are slaves for religion. Your master is righteousness. The son that the Bible tried to get you to focus on is not the Son of Man. The Son of Man is righteousness. The Son of Man is righteousness. Going back to the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. The body is like the earth, and the sun affects the earth, just like when they have the northern lights, where your magnetic poles, they create light, but they're also a protection, a cocoon for the earth. So is your aura. But you feed your aura with your behavior of righteousness, not your behavior or your compliance to religion. Your body and your aura responds to your righteousness, and it does create color. And your different colors have different purities of your spirituality. So you want to get those colors in sequence so you can evolve spiritually to the correct color. And the correct color and the response that your aura protects you from, that creates the northern lights and extract your aura into these different orbs, just like in the universe. This is what the house in Islam, the Kaaba. Your body is the Kaaba. And within that Kaaba, Abraham got rid of all the false gods. And Kaaba, Kabbalah, Kaaba, Allah, Kaaba, Allah. And I already told you that Allah, the H is for the head, the two A's are for the arms, and the L is for the legs. So the house, the temple, the body is the temple. And there's only one spirit of righteousness. This book tells you how to operate within your melanin. Your melanin is not a color, it's a chemical. You have to learn how to function as a righteous person, not as a religious person. This is what the books and the Quran teaches you. The meaning of the holy truth. Prophet Muhammad was teaching you and teaching us about righteousness, because Allah is the H, the two A's for the arm, and the two L's for the leg. It's a diagram of Adam, and Adam was created in righteousness. And this is what the Ankh is all about. It's collecting energy. You know, the cross, you know, the life and death. The cross, the physical and the spiritual plane. It has to do with electricity. Is your energy, that spark. The Ankh. Read about the Ankh. There's no excuse for you to be confused with religion anymore, based on what we've been through as a people under Christianity. There's no reason for you to worship a symbol for murder. That's Antichrist. Going back to Ethiopia, the cross was symbolic for a physical plane and a spiritual plane. The Roman church don't understand spirituality, so they created a cross to hang a dead man from, and to get you to worship that sign of aggression. there's no respect, because the first commandments, one of the 10 commandments of the covenant is you don't murder nobody. And because non-melanin people don't understand spirituality, they use murder as a symbol to worship death. But if you worship that image, then you're going to be like the man on the cross. You're going to suffer a life of death. That's where we are as a people. We are suffering a life of death. We have to come back to the spirituality that we were created for. And don't be distracted by a symbol with a dead man murdered on a cross. That's Christianity, Antichrist. The real cross is the physical plane and the spiritual plane that you have to come in conjunction with. And this is what Kabbalah is all about. Your orbs and ma'at, your spirituality, and your aura, and the energy, and the changes in these orbs that you have to satisfy. Read the book. There's no excuse anymore for you to be ignorant to what you are supposed to do. I'm trying to expose, to get you naked, to strip you from that religious cloak that you've been covered with. Get rid of that filth. That's not for you. That's your death. It's time for you to understand and elevate yourself to who you are and what you were created for. Just like in Islam, it all depends on what Quran you read from. It tells you that man was created from black mud. But them pagan Arabs that killed the prophet, they changed it and they put traditions and rituals into Islam and created a religion again. And more people think by following all these traditions and rituals and doing the voodoo and dressing like a Muslim is supposed to dress, that's not going to save you. It's your righteousness. I don't care if you dye your beard red or whatever you do. Those are rituals and tradition. And it's all culturally based. Just like Christianity. The origin of Christianity came from the Catholic Church. They are under the image of that symbol of murder. Thou shalt not kill. But they kill because they do not understand spirituality. You cannot kill the Son of Man is righteousness. You can't kill righteousness. Righteousness should be contagious, because if you live a righteous life, it's your responsibility to pass that righteousness on to someone else to expose ignorance and death so that you can elevate and they can put on the right clothing to come out of the grave of religion. That's your job as a righteous person. Now, if you don't think that you're a righteous person, then keep doing what you're doing. Keep worshiping that image of a dead man, that sign of aggression. And the only reason that we are over here in America is because our ancestors broke the covenant of righteousness. And according to Deuteronomy 28, if we had stayed under that covenant of righteousness, we wouldn't be over here. We're over here as a punishment because we listened to religion. And we were captured by religious people and punished and put into slavery, just like it was told to you in Deuteronomy 28. All the murder that you read in the Bible is because people were outside of the covenant and they got destroyed. There's only one covenant, and there's many religions. But if you don't get yourself back under the covenant of righteousness and dispel religion, we'll never fulfill the prophecy, or you won't like the prophecy that's going to be fulfilled, because everybody outside of the covenant is going to be destroyed. I didn't tell you that. This is what you read. What I'm doing is I'm taking, just like Jesus when he healed the blind man, he rubbed dirt in the eyes. Slavery and your life existence is all based on your adherence to righteousness. That's what was rubbing in the blind man's eyes. He was born blind, just like we've been born into slavery. We were born blind. But righteousness, when it comes to you, you got to use righteousness to wash your eyes so that you can see the pain and the suffering that we've been through under religion. There's no story that you can read about in the Quran or the Bible that we haven't experienced. You can bear witness that religion is a horrific, painful experience. And we have to subdue it. And you got to bear witness to righteousness. Righteousness will take you to paradise, not religion. When you're on Judgment Day, when he weighs your heart against a feather, this is what the Egyptians were teaching. And you are going to be judged by your action and your deeds. Not your tradition and your obligation to religion, it's the obligation to your soul. This is what you're going to be judged on. Now you can keep following that cross, but you can't forget that they used that cross to hang you and to sacrifice you for that image on the cross. When they was hanging black people in the South, that you were a sacrifice. You were the lamb that they were sacrificing for your blood to appease that image of death on the white man's cross, the Catholic Church cross. You were the calf. You were the goat that was being sacrificed. I know you haven't forgot about the cross and the burning. They were saying that we're going to have a sacrifice. And you were the one that they were sacrificing to appease that image on the cross. And in Revelations, I think it's 1:14, it says that Jesus had the hair of a lamb. Now, if you look at the person on that cross, that ain't lamb's hair. You have to ask yourself, who is that on the cross that you are worshiping? He ain't got bronze skin. He ain't got lamb's hair. That's long animal hair. You better wake up. You better go back to righteousness. That's the Exodus. And then the story of Moses. The story of Moses when he parted. This is what I'm trying to part you out of religion back under righteousness. That was the parting of the sea. You have to ask yourself, when you're reading these stories, they got to make sense to you, because that river was there so long that when they parted it, you couldn't walk across it because it was quicksand. You would have died yourself. They were parting the physical and the spiritual. And once they crossed over, they started melting down gold again, trying to get back to religion. And God destroyed them. This was the story. Sodom and Gomorrah. Those people were pagan. It was worshiping everything but righteousness. They were people that went beyond the bounds. They were just sinful people. And they were destroyed. They were destroyed because they were out of the covenant of righteousness. The lion's den. All those stories based on what we've been through as a people, but you can't see yourself as to what you've been through. You listen to these dumbass preachers that don't understand, and they teaching you the same old rhetoric every Sunday. How long do they have to teach you that stupid stuff before you wake up to who you really are? They don't know what they're teaching. They're only teaching what the slave master tells them to teach you, to keep you distracted from righteousness and to keep you under the influence of religion. That's their job. They going to hell too. They can't save themselves until they come back to righteousness and stop teaching that rhetoric and that ignorance and tempting you with this cross. Everything that you need, God gave us. It's within you. You just got to be man enough to wake up righteousness and stop being a wicked people, because you've been influenced by righteousness and evil. Unrighteousness. That's your influence that comes out of religion. Religion teaches unrighteousness because it teaches you to believe on something that's on the outside of you. But God put everything that you needed within you. And you got to repeat this over and over to convince yourself that you are special based on what you've been through. And God was with us. Nobody else, no other people can go through what we've been through. And we were only blessed to go through that because of our melanin. Melanin is your spirituality. It's not it's a chemical that can't be duplicated. It's a blessing to have melanin. And I'm envious of people that have plenty melanin. I've seen people blue or blacker than black. Them people are blessed. But they got to get on the path of righteousness and spirituality and stop worshiping that cross with a murder on it. Worship the cross without murder, without anybody hanging on it. The cross in Lalibela, the first church. Physical plane and a spiritual plane. But you got to adhere more to the spiritual plane while we are in the physical plane. Because you're transitioning to the spiritual plane. You're getting out of the physical plane. So you got to start acting like a spiritual person, not like a physical person. So start practicing spirituality. What's within you. Surrender yourself and get away. Separate yourself from the physical and focus more on your spiritual self, which is righteousness. Get in the game, and the universe will bless you. That's your deliverance, is righteousness, not religion. Righteousness is your deliverance. So when you read the Bible and you see Lord, it ain't no Lord on the outside of you. Your Lord is righteousness. When you see Allah in the Quran, don't say Allah, say righteousness. That's the meat of the word. Okay, that's enough. My blood pressure getting up, but I'm going to continue, to edify the truth and wait on righteousness to deliver the unrighteous. So I'm going to close with the Fatiha. In the name of righteousness, most gracious and most merciful, All praises are due to righteousness, the Lord of all the worlds, most gracious and most merciful, master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, not those whose portion is wrath, nor those who go astray from righteousness. Amen. Inshallah. Until next time, peace.